Hello. Hi, we're gonna wait a little bit. We got about a minute before it's 6 p.m. Yeah. Me? No, I'm in here now. All right, 6 p.m. I'm gonna wait another minute and then I get started.
Dad, can you help me move the table?
No, I can't. I'm like doing a YouTube live right now. All right, we got 3 people. Hey, if you can you hear me? If you can give me a thumbs up, if you can hear me well. All right, 6:01. So I'm gonna get started. So I'm Chris, and I'm with Personal 20 Corona Task Force, and we're here Monday to Friday at 6 p.m. to give you some good advice about, on how to stay healthy. Yesterday we had Connie talking about sleeping, and tonight I'm going to be talking about food safety. And tomorrow we're gonna comment talking about patio cooking in the kitchen. All right, so food safety. I thought there would be a good subject because we're all stuck at home and we have to cook a lot because restaurants are closed, and so we do like 2 to 3 meals a day. So that's why I picked that subject. And also my background. I've been in the food industry for about 30 years now. I worked in hotel, restaurant, grocery store, even a slaughterhouse. And I'm food certified in Maryland. So I do know a little bit. And all the information that I'm going to give you tonight, you can get them. You go on the USDA website. You just Google food safety tips USDA, and then they have a great website where they can give you all the info. You can read all the info that I'm going to give you tonight. So that's it for that. All right. What is food safety? So food safety, it's when the food gets contaminated. There are 3 ways food can be contaminated. There is biological, chemical, and physical. So physical, it's when there is like a foreign object that get mixed with the food, like you lose an earring and it goes in your dish. That's a physical contamination. We don't really care about that. It's fairly easy to prevent. Chemicals, it's when you have, let's say you have some a bleach, a gallon of bleach sitting next to some food stuff, and the bleach spills in the food. So that will be a chemical contamination. So that's why it's really important that you keep all your cleaning product away from any food product, and make sure it's correctly labeled. Let's say if you have like a gallon of bleach and you have a little bit left and you transfer it to a empty bottle or whatever, make sure you write on it it's bleach. A lot of stupid accidents happen every year because the chemicals are not labeled and people think it's something else. But the one that we're going to talk about today, it's the bioagents. It's the biological. So biological, it's microorganism. So microorganism, they're good, but some of them are not good. They're called pathogens, and they are on the food. Like poultry and meat, they have salmonella naturally. So what you want to do is you want to keep that level, those bacteria, as low as possible, so they don't make you sick. So that what we're going to talk about tonight, it's way to make sure these bacteria don't spread. And the problem with biological, it's you can't see it because it's microscopic. You can smell it and you can taste it. So this is why you have to follow the steps that we're going to be discussing tonight. So let's get started. All right, I'm going to separate that little presentation in two. The first one's going to be cleaning, organizing, and then the food prep. Rule number one: when you cook in the kitchen, wash your hands. Uh, Now we should be all good at it because at the coronavirus we have to wash our hands like every 30 minutes. So any soap will do it. I like this one. And the rule is 20 seconds. So make sure you put plenty of soap and you rub your fingers and you go under your nails and you repeat that and you rinse it, and the whole process should take about 20 seconds. And the other thing you want to make sure of is everywhere where the food's going to be has to be clean and sanitized. So my go-to product for that, soap is fine. Soap and just liquid, liquid soap. You can clean very well with that. But what I like to do too, I like to use this one here, Thieves, and the reason is it's a great product. It kills pretty much everything. We had just a small story. We had a client. We did a small experiment. Before she went on vacation, she left 3 pieces of bread on her kitchen table. She spread bleach on one of them. She spread Lysol on the other one, and then she spread Thieves on the third one. When she came back from vacation, the one that was spread with bleach was moldy, surprisingly. The one with Lysol was moldy. The only one that wasn't moldy was the one that had been sprayed with Thieves. So that just tells you how good that product is. All right. So once you got everything clean, let's talk about cutting board. Cutting board, it's an important part of cooking. There is two different kind. You got some wood cutting board. No, that would be plastic actually. And you got wood. Regardless of the one you use, you got to make sure that they are super clean. And actually, you should have two to three boards. I'll tell you why. One should be exclusively for the vegetable. Another one should be for the meat, like beef, pork, fish, lamb. And the third one should be for poultry. Poultry is a big one. You got when you enter poultry, you got to be very careful because poultry can contain salmonella and it can spread pretty easily if you don't handle it correctly. So, but if you don't have three cutting board, just make sure they are super clean between each use. Now, the plastic one, I'm not a big fan of the plastic one. The reason is when you use plastic, let's see, there is my knife. So let's say you chop something, and every time you chop in the plastic, you get some microparticles of plastic that come off, and they get mixed with the food. And over time, it's not great for your body to have plastic, to ingest plastic, as you know. I like the wood much better. When you chop in the wood, particles of wood may come off, but eating wood, it's not gonna kill you. So that's why I like wood. All right. Now, let's talk about the refrigerator. Let me make sure I didn't forget anything here. Yeah, that's good. All right, refrigerator. You should everything you put in your refrigerator should be labeled. Like, let's say you open some chicken stock, right? And so you use the chicken stock. Most likely, you're not going to use everything. If you put it in your refrigerator, you're going to forget about it. You're going to forget when you open it. And then after, you're going to wonder, oh, can I use it or not? So the best way to take care of that, I forgot it. It's to use, hang on, I'll be right back. Hey, I use that tape, that's used for painting. But what's great about it, it's easy to remove. So you take a piece of the tape, like that, there you go. All right, piece of tape, and you put it on whatever you open. There you go. And then you write the date on it. And today is 3/24. And you put it in your refrigerator. That way, you know when it's been used and how much longer you can keep it around. Your refrigerator should be cleaned weekly. Any cooked food that's been there for 4 to 5 days, you got to disregard it. You're taking a chance. 5 days, it's really the max, and that's only if it's been handled properly, during the cooking time and all that stuff. Now, when you fill your refrigerator, you can just shove everything where you got room. The name of the game is cross-contamination. You got to prevent the cross-contamination. I guess I should have mentioned that earlier. So on the top shelf of your refrigerator, you're gonna have like the milk, the cooked food, and as you go down, the longer the item needs to be cooked, the lower it's gonna go. So all the way on the bottom of the refrigerator, that's where you're gonna keep the poultry. On top of the poultry, you're gonna keep the ground beef. Then you're gonna have the meat, the beef, the pork. Then you're gonna have your veggies, daily meat or whatever, and then on top the milk and cheese and whatnot. So that's how you organize your refrigerator. Always keep in mind what needs to be cooked the longest goes on the bottom. All right, let me see to make sure I don't forget anything about the refrigerator. All right, now something we always wonder, how long can I keep that? Instead of guessing, you go on that USDA website, and they have a list of all the items, how long you can keep it fresh, how long you can keep it frozen. Again, when it's cooked, it's always like 4 to 5 days. But so I printed that list here, and if I look at the top, so you got fresh beef, lamb, veal, and pork. So when it's fresh, like when it's been cut in pieces for ground beef, it's 1 to 2 days. If you freeze it, it's 3 to 4 months. So you got a column for fresh and a column for frozen. So let's take another one, bacon. So fresh bacon, you can keep it up to 7 days. If it's vacuum sealed in the package, you can keep it way longer than that. But if it's been open, it's 7 days. And then it says in the freezer for 1 month, right? That doesn't sound right. I mean, you can keep bacon a lot longer than that. Anyway, so go on the USDA website and you can print that, and it's going to tell you how long you can keep all kind of different food. All right, next. Let me see my list here. All right, any questions? Oh man, there's a lot of stuff there. Arisha, good thieves. I love thieves. I love thieves. That's a scary looking knife. Oh yeah, that I love that knife. What else? Apparently, I need to reorganize my refrigerator. Good fridge. It's me. I am hearing echo. Oh, hey, Srini. What's up, Srini? All right, good. So nobody's got any question. All right, now let's talk about food prep. All right, when you make a dish, I don't know. I can't think of any dish, but you got the veggies, and if you have the proteins, you're gonna start prepping the veggies first for the same reason. You don't want to cross contaminate by starting the protein first. So you clean your veggies. Oh, very important. You got to clean the veggies. The reason, even if it's organic, the reason why you want to clean the veggies is you want to get rid of all the pesticides, the pesticide residue that may be on it, and they also spray some product. Like if you go to a grocery store and you look at the apple, it looks like they spray Windex. They're so shiny. Okay, that stuff, it's like I can't remember the name of it, but it's not good for you. So again, to clean veggies, my go-to product it's this one here. That one is great, and it also smells great. I love the smell of it. Yeah. All right. So you put just a little bit in the water, and you clean your veggies very well, and you rinse it a couple of times. Then you set it aside, and that's done. There is other way to clean the veggies. I read like using vinegar. You mix like a certain amount of vinegar with water. I tried it once, but the problem is everything tastes like vinegar after. So forget that one. Use this one. Now, once you're done with veggies, let's go to the meat. So one big mistake that people make. Let's say you do a chicken dish. People wash the chicken. They take the chicken, they go in the sink, and then they wash it. It's totally useless to do that. But not only it's useless, but it's also very risky because what happens is when you rinse that chicken, you run the water, you put the chicken under, and then the water splashes everywhere. So as you can see right next to it, I got some dishes that are drying. So if I do that, that water is going to go on the dishes, and it's going to contaminate all the dishes. And the dishes that they're not going to, they're already clean. So I'm going to grab them, and they will be contaminated, and potentially they will make me sick. So that's the reason why you don't wash chicken. You don't have to wash it. It's been washed already. Don't do it. And it's the same thing with, beef, steak, pork roast. You don't have to wash that. They're not dirty. Let me stop that here. Okay. It's just stupid to do that, and it's dangerous. So don't do it. All right. So you prep your veggies. Now, when you start cooking, there is something very important that you need to do. It. You have each meat, each kind of meat, vegetable, they all need to be cooked to a certain internal temperature. And again, you go to that USDA website, and you can print it. Like for pork, veal, and lamb, like the ground when it's been ground, it's 160 degrees. You got to make sure it reaches 160. For a steak, it's 145. Okay, when you cook a steak, it's a little different because some people like it rare, medium rare. But if you go by what the USDA says, it's a minimum temp of 145 degrees. Chicken, poultry, it's 165. And I believe all vegetables, I don't see it there, but I'm pretty sure it's 100. If you cook vegetable, it should be cooked to 145 degrees. And fish, I mean, you got everything there. Eggs. So when you cook something, just make sure it's properly cooked. It's again, especially the poultry. Poultry, you have to cook that to 160, 165. And something to think about, it's when you cook, let's say you cook something in the oven, and another tool that you guys need to have in your kitchen, it's a meat thermometer, just like this one here. I mean, there is all kind of meat thermometer, but let's say you cook a whole chicken, so you take the temp, and when it reaches 160, it's done. It says 165, but what you have to remember is when you take something out of the oven, there is something that calls carryover, where whatever you were cooking is going to reach another 5 degrees, even if it wasn't in the oven. So the chicken from 160 is going to go to 165, which is perfect. If you take it at 165, it's going to reach 170, and at 170, it might start getting dry. So use a meat thermometer. Now, okay, something else that's very important. There is something called the temperature danger zone. The temperature danger zone is from 40 degrees to 140. And what it is, it's when the food stays in that zone from 40 to 140, the bacteria start growing. And especially when you start reaching 70 degrees, 90 degrees, I mean, it's like a party. The bacteria count explodes. So you want to make sure that when your food is cooked, if you don't eat everything right away, you have to cool it off very quickly. Don't let it sit in your kitchen counter. Put it in the refrigerator directly. And it's really important. We're like at Baluchi's, where I work. Every item they cook, they have a chart where they're gonna say what time it came out of the oven, what temp it was, and how it was, how they made it go under 40 degrees, and how fast it took to do that. It's really important. Like, for example, if you make a soup and you got that big narrow pot, and if you add some fat to it, like you make a vegetable soup, but you add like olive oil, like Connie and Carmen, you guys do that. You told me that. So that fat, that olive oil, is going to create a film on top, and it's going to trap the heat. So even if you put that soup in the refrigerator, it's going to stay hot for a pretty long time, and the bacteria count is going to go really, really high. And potentially, if you didn't do all the steps correctly before, you could get sick from it. And getting sick, it's not always like having explosive diarrhea. It just can be a mild stomach ache, and you don't know what it is for. Well, very often it's because the food wasn't handled properly. I'm not saying you guys do that, but I'm saying you have to be aware of it. So when you have a soup, the best way to refrigerate it, to get it to make it go under 40 degrees where it's safe again, it's to put it in the freezer if you can. And if you cannot put it in the freezer, you take your soup and you use it in 2 or 3 pots to make smaller quantity so that it cools off faster. That's an important one. All right, let me see if we have any questions here. All right, can you go in depth with the meat need to be stored at a different level? Does that have anything to do with the temp? No, yeah, Madeleine, that's a good question. No, the reason why you store the meat at different level, again, it's cross contamination. Let's say you're gonna you have chicken and you put the chicken right on top. On top, it's the refrigerator. It's probably just as cold. It might not be as cold as the bottom, but it's cold enough. But the problem is if the chicken leaks and you got vegetable on there, so it's gonna drop on the vegetable and it's gonna contaminate the vegetable. Now, this vegetable, if it's a salad, you're not going to cook it. So potentially, if that chicken has salmonella, you will get sick from it. So that's the reason you want to make sure you eliminate cross contamination. If it drips, it's not going to drip on anything. It's all on the bottom. What else? What was your? Yeah, that was my bird. Yeah, Arisha. Yeah, actually, I'm trying not to go in depth, but food safety, there's a lot of stuff. Comment, I'd heard that if we should let the food cool off before putting it in the fridge. Not true. No. This is like, don't do that. No, you have to cool the food as fast as possible. So again, when you make your soup and you mix your olive oil with it, the best way to cool it off fast is to put it in the freezer without the lid. You don't want to trap that heat because once the bacteria start growing, it can reach a level where it will make you sick. So that's all I can think about. I think I covered everything. I mean, I could go on and on, but I don't want to bore you guys to death. So I don't see any more questions. Just a reminder, at 7 p.m., we're going to have a training Let me see. Carmen just texted me about it. Carmen. All right, don't forget to tell people there is a free group class right after at 7 p.m. If they want to do it, they have to text company phone for access. Okay, and there is another one tomorrow at 12 p.m. I'm looking to see if there is no more question. I think that's it. I'm done. So again, oh yeah, I was gonna forget that. Make sure you check out our virtual training. We started this past Monday, and I've seen the videos, and people love it. I know it's not EMS training, but it's still pretty good. So check that out. And tomorrow it's gonna be Carmen and cooking paleo. Oh, Shrini, miss you guys. Miss my training. Yeah, it's I know it's some weird times. I really miss not being at the studio too. It's been nice though. I got a client that send me messages. That makes my day. Yeah, so tomorrow it's gonna be Carmen with paleo treats. And I guess I'm done here. So you guys stay healthy, stay safe, stay home, and talk to you guys later. Bye.